What is going on, my beautiful people? Welcome to yet again another episode of the Pivot Mindset Podcast. My name is Justin. I'm your host. And listen, I'm elated. I'm honored to have you a part of this episode. Every time we release one of these, man, I'm super excited because it's another opportunity to provide value to whoever listens to one of these episodes. I'm always honored that anytime I look into my back-end algorithm that I see more than one person listening to an episode. That's phenomenal, right? So just because you're listening, I super appreciate your support. And I thank you for being consistent. And we're actually going to talk about that in this episode. So in this episode, we're going to talk about how to be more consistent in your life, how to tap into a level of consistency that maybe you have not yet been able to accomplish. You could be someone out there who you can be consistent in small spurts. You might be able to be consistent in something for a week, or consistent in something for a month or something, or consistent for something when the weather's well, or when you're making good money. It could be easy to be consistent when circumstances are ideal. But in this episode, I want to talk about how to be consistent through anything, how to be consistent in life, no matter the things that are coming your way, because the truth is life is hard. Life throws things at you. Life is not always the easiest things to go through every single day, but I want to talk about how to and give you the real skills and tools on how to be more consistent. And so let's first dive into some housekeeping. I want to first ask that if you're listening to this episode, if you could please give this podcast a rating and review, whether you're listening to it on Apple Podcasts or Google or Spotify, or wherever platform you're listening to this, also on YouTube. Please, we ask that you would give this podcast a 5-star rating and review. It would be so appreciated. And then also share this with people. So if you're listening to this on your iPhone, I hope you don't have a Samsung, but if you do, I'm gonna continue to pray for you. But if you're listening to this episode on your iPhone or your phone in general, please take a screenshot and just share it. Just share it with your community. Great. It'd be great to tag me in it, but you don't have to. I love for you to just share this podcast with other people. So those are the two things, please, that I asked to do. For anything that I ask, I try to give you more value. So that's the favor I'm going to try to pull in this episode, is just continue to share this podcast and provide any 5-star review that you can if you haven't already. All right, so let's dive in. So being consistent is less about what you do and it's more about how you think about what you do. It's less about the actual action that you take, because most people, they reduce consistency down to just the action that's taken. And that's not really what consistency is. Consistency ends there, but that's not where consistency starts. Consistency starts at how you think about what you do. And so first, if you don't think the right thoughts about what you're doing, it'll be challenging to have the outcome that you really want in tying together enough habits to become consistent, or tying together enough action to be consistent. So it's more about what you think, and not just what you think, but it's also about the meaning that you put behind the actions that you need to be consistent. And I'm gonna break this down throughout this episode here. And so the first thing is the kind of life that you want. I have no doubt in my mind that the kind of life that you want is right on the opposite side of your consistency. It's right on the opposite side. Everything you can hope and dream of, everything you can see, if you close your eyes, everything that you can imagine, when you dream and you have vision and you get excited about something, or say what makes your baby leap, that thing on the inside of you that gets you fired up, everything that you want on a life is right on the opposite side of your ability to be consistent. Now, I mentioned earlier, consistency is so easy when everything is going well, when the money is right, when the car is driving well, when the weather is good, when your relationships are on fire, when you got a trip going on and you got trips planned and vacations planned and all that kind of stuff. It's so simple to be consistent when the ideal circumstances are in place. But most people, you don't struggle there. That's not where you struggle. If you struggle with consistency, you struggle because in seasons you can be on fire for something, but then something will happen in your life and it derails the whole process, or you derails your whole routine, and then you stumble back into being that old version of you. So the first thing that I've got for you on how to be more consistent is I want you to set your standards first. The first thing that you have to do is you have to set your standards. What standard will you have for yourself? What standard will you have about holding yourself committed to what you said you would do? What standard will you have that says, I'm not going to renege on myself, or I'm not going to continue to let myself down? I've got to first deal with me. Before I try to be consistent in anything, I've got to make sure that this consistency is riding on a standard that I've set in my life. I've set standards in my life that I just don't like to be late for anything. Being late to me is just not a thing I want to do in my life. And so being on time is very important. Being punctual is very important. And so that's a standard that I have set in my life. I have a standard set that I will not be broke, that I will always have an abundance financially. That's just a standard. And so because I've got these standards, there's a certain lifestyle that I live based off of the standards that I will not go beyond. I've got a standard that I will live by the law, right? I won't break the law or do things that are against the rules or do things that are against the law to potentially put myself at risk, right? I just got those standards, right? So, and the truth is you have standards in your life. Every single person has a standard. I'm just not sure you've got a standard around consistency. I'm just not sure that you have a standard that says what I say out of my mouth is actually what I'm going to do with my feet, right? What I say out of my mouth is actually what I'm going to do with my hands, right? Do you have that standard? So that's first thing is you have to set a standard for how you will live moving forward and what things you'll implement and what promises that you, no matter what, you will never break with yourself. One of the biggest parts of being consistent is making sure that you build the trust that you have with yourself, right? And so that's step one. Second one is to have and be more consistent is you have to disconnect yourself from the results and connect yourself to the metrics that get you the results. I'll repeat that again. To be more consistent, you have to disconnect yourself from the outcomes, from the results, and connect yourself to the metrics that get you the results. The KPIs, I call it, right? The key performance indicators. There's key performance indicators for everything in life, meaning there is key things that you do that will indicate the kind of success you will have. KPIs, key performance indicators, right? And I want you to be focused more on the KPIs than the actual outcomes. So for an example, if you have a goal of saving $500 a month, right? Or let's say $500 a year, whatever that goal is, instead of thinking about saving the dollar per day, right? Or instead of thinking about saving whatever the number is to get you there, which could be the rationale thought, instead of thinking that way, why don't you check and look at the performance indicators that would help you save the dollar per day? So what would help you save $1 per day? One of those things is what happens if now that dollar comes out of your account and goes into a separate account every single day. That is a performance indicator that you can check. And so now you're just checking to see, did that money move out of my account to another account? That's a key performance indicator. Okay, what are other things in your life that can help you? Another indicator of being able to save that dollar per day. What about actually making money, right? So it's easier to save, right? Based on it, the more money you have, the easier it would be to save that money if you have it in access, right? So that's another thing. What kind of things could I be doing? Not the result. I'm not focused on the $500. I'm just focused on the things that help get me to the $500. What is it to deny yourself and not go out to eat or to not, spend money on drinks on the weekends or whatever that may be, right? These are performance indicators. If you can start to reduce those things or start to focus on the performance indicators, saving will be simpler. All right, let me give you another example. Disconnecting yourself from the results. You could be someone who's trying to grow a business, or you're trying to become a better public speaker or anything like that, right? If you're trying to grow your business, you know what actually happens or what your business takes to grow. A part of it is you've got to get leads. You've got to find people who want to buy your product or service, right? And so instead of being so focused on how much money my business made this year, what if I'm just focused on how many leads I got into the door, right? How many people that I actually speak to this month? How many appointments that I set? How many people visited my website? I'm not focused on the outcome. I'm just focused on the KPIs, the metrics that I know will get me to the result. And so if I could just focus on the metrics that get me the results, the metric will take care of itself. All right. So that's number 2 is disconnect yourself from the results and connect yourself to the metrics that get you the results. All right. The third one I've got is if you want to be more consistent, you have to build a lifestyle to make consistency easy. It's so hard to be consistent in something when you've got to jump through so many hoops to do it consistently, right? And so I will need you to build a lifestyle that make being consistent easy. So question to ask yourself, do you need an accountability partner? Do you need somebody to call you out? Do you need someone to check on you every single day? Do you need someone like a best friend to have a shared bank? If you want to save a certain amount of money, do you need to have a best friend or someone that shares this bank account with you that you trust, that won't take the money, right? But that every time you deposit the money in that account, or they're checking on it every single week to make sure the amount of money that's supposed to be deposited, it's in there, right? Do you need someone to be asking you, every morning or something like that, how often, or if you worked out, right? Whatever your goals are, right? Maybe adding an accountability partner. Maybe you need to get rid of your TV or anything else that distracts you. Maybe you need to get rid of all of your subscription services. You need to cancel Netflix. You need to cancel Hulu, and you need to cancel Peacock and all the other streaming platforms out there. Maybe you need to find a way to get rid of all of the distractions. These are all things that can help creating the lifestyle to make consistency easy. Do you need to set out your clothes the night before? So maybe you want to work out in the mornings, but you might not be a morning person, and getting your flow in the morning might be a challenge. Maybe you just need to set clothes out every single morning or every single night so that right when you wake up, all you got to do is literally jump right in those clothes. Or even better, right? How do I shrink the time to success? Maybe you just sleep in your workout clothes and all you do is get out the bed, brush your teeth, and put your shoes on and go to the gym, right? How do I shrink the time to success? And often shrinking the time to success is building a lifestyle that make consistency easy. Here's the other one, right? Who else, the question, this is kind of tied to accountability partner, who else is familiar with your failure, right? It's all about accountability. So I want you to be so committed to consistency that other people are familiar with the failure if you have it. Meaning, when you fail or drop the ball at something, who gets the chance to call you out? Who gets to hold you accountable for what you said you would do, right? So that's number 3, is building a lifestyle that makes consistency easy. It's easy to be consistent when you have people holding you accountable, not to the actual result, but just being consistent with doing the things that get you the result. Here's the other thing. Here's the fourth thing I got for you, is that consistency is a snowball, okay? Like consistency in its true essence is a snowball. I want you to start slow and build, and then continue to expand your capacity from there. And so you want to be able to just ramp up your commitment. So if, for example, if you started working out, if you have a goal to drop and lose weight or build muscle, et cetera, right? And you have to go to the gym or work out. Instead of working out 0 times a week and jumping to 5 times a week, maybe you just jump to once a week and just be consistent in that, right? Or maybe instead of, if you don't work out at all, maybe you jump to twice a week. But I want your consistency to start with like a snowball, right? And you want it to start small, and then eventually the consistency will turn into habits that will be harder to break. You only really need to focus on consistency when you don't have a habit. Habits just are consistent in and of themselves. But when you build a habit, right, you don't have to focus on consistency. Consistency is almost like willpower. And so you need to be focused, but it has a tank that drains, So, if you have to always rely on that willpower to help you be consistent, you're going to fail. You're going to have points of failure because it's going to be like a tank and you're going to always have to fill it up. But what would it be to turn your consistency and your willpower and that thing that you want into a habit? And you do that, one of the ways of doing that is slow growing it, right? Or ramping up your commitment. And so don't just jump from never working out to working out 5 times a day. Can you start working out once per week instead? What is your probability to work out if you only work out once a week? You probably got 100% probability. You could probably be extremely consistent if you just worked out once a week, instead of trying to make the accomplishment of working out 5 times a week and then letting yourself down because you didn't work out one day, and then not working out that one day could roll into now you're not working out twice in a week. And then, right, and you begin to get, feel bad about yourself because, man, I didn't work out 5 times this week. I only worked out 3 times. Let's not do that to ourselves. How about we just build up our consistency like a snowball method, right? So start slow, start doing something that's super easy for you to do. And then once you get that down and build habit there, then simply ramp it up. We often underestimate what we can do, right, in 10 years, but we overestimate what we can do in a year, right? It's kind of that mentality where I want you to just start small there and just, again, we're not trying to build a result. We're just trying to build the pattern of being consistent in our life, right? All right, and then let's set up the last thing. So the 5th thing that you need is you have to set up a reward and a discipline system. You need a carrot and a stick in your life. So not only, and I'm going to kind of go up to the top and review these. So first thing is I need you to first set your standards, and what standards will you set with yourself. The second thing is I need you to disconnect yourself from the results and connect yourself to the metrics to get the results. The third thing is build a lifestyle to make consistency easy. The 4th thing is I need consistency to be like a snowball in your life. And the 5th thing, the final thing, is I want you to set up a reward and a discipline system, right? So you need a carrot and a stick. And these aren't for the goal. The carrot and the stick aren't connected to you getting the outcome. The carrot and the stick are only connected to you doing the things, doing the behaviors that get you the goal, get you the outcome. So what is the carrot? The carrot is the thing that you actually desire, that's good, that's pleasurable, that's desirable to you, that can be a form of reward in the process of going to get the thing that you want. The stick is the opposite. The stick is the punisher, right? The stick is the thing that you do not desire, that you do not want, that would be painful, that would suck going through or having to experience if you had to go through it. So we often tie these to our outcomes. We often tie the carrot and the stick to, man, the minute that I save $500, I'm going to spend it on brand new pair of shoes, right? It's probably a stupid thing to save money up for, but whatever, right? But we typically tie the carrot and the stick to the outcome, but we rarely tie it to the actual measurable KPIs, the actual things that are necessary to get the kind of life that we want or the goal that we want. So what would it be for you to say, man, if I work out one time a week, not for 4 weeks in a row, but if I work out one time this week, I get the chance to buy myself something. And it could be something small, right? It doesn't have to be anything significant, but you give yourself a reward, right? Or you give yourself an opportunity to get something that's desirable for you hitting that small target, that small goal, because you're building up your consistency. And simultaneously, if you miss that one goal, your stick has to be very hurtful, detrimental punisher, right? One of the, and I'll give you a quick story. So I was able to lose, I remember me and some friends, we did a challenge. I think we lost 10 pounds in 10 days or something like that. And the reason why we lost 10 pounds in 10 days was because if we did not lose that weight, there was going to be, I believe we were going to have to pay $200 or something like that, $250 maybe, to each other. And so every single day I stood on the scale, and every single day I was eating food, and every single day I was working out, I was thinking about, man, if I don't do this, I'm going to have to pay my friends a hefty $250 for not doing simply what's healthy for me, good for me, and what I said I would do. I would have to pay them because I would, so there was a stick out there that was so annoying that I would do whatever it took to actually get the kind of goal, to actually put in the habits to create the outcome that I wanted. All right. So I want to give you those 5 things again. So again, if you want to be more consistent in your life, everything that you want out of life is going to come on the other side of consistency, right? So we have to first, set the standard. Then we got to disconnect ourselves from the results. We have to build a lifestyle that will make consistency easy. We have to be consistent and know that consistency is a snowball. We have to set up a reward and a discipline system. All right. I just want you guys to get everything that life has for you. And I know that comes on the other side of consistency. All right. And so let's continue to be the best version of ourselves. Let's continue to live a pivoted life. we know that life and what we want is a new thing. It's a different transformation based on how we set out and based on our ability to make the transitions and pivots of life. All right. And so I'm going to give you and finish with that. Again, please leave this podcast a rating and review. Thank you so much for listening to this episode and signing out here. And we believe here that life is all about the pivots, and those who decide to make the pivots decide to become successful. Peace.